Are we still zero waste as a family of 4 in our tiny house on wheels?
B is for biodegradable. That means it breaks down and turns into dirt.
Why?
Because then it's not wasteful, there's no garbage.
The first thing I have to say about anything in regards to zero waste is I really dislike strongly the term zero waste. I call it zero waste because that's what the movement is called. But in all reality, I think that zero waste can be very intimidating and kind of unachievable for a lot of people. I prefer to look at it as low waste. My goal is never to be completely zero waste because that is really, really hard. And it does intimidate people because maybe the thought of being zero waste would keep some people away from even trying. Before having kids, we were much better at being low waste. Since having kids, it has gotten a lot harder, mainly with food and snacks, especially because snacks come individually wrapped and packaged so much. I don't have any milk. You want some milk? Actually, I do have some oat milk. You want some oat milk?
Oatmeal.
Okay, hang on. The other obvious thing when it comes to kids is toys. I do not buy new toys, like ever, maybe birthday or Christmas, but even then I actually buy a lot of secondhand things. That's the biggest way I avoid packaging, is buying things secondhand off the Facebook Marketplace. I really encourage you to look into doing that because things do not need to be new for kids. When you buy things, half the time they play with it for 10 minutes, or the other half of the time they break it, color on it, destroy it, whatever. So really don't waste your money or your time buying things brand new. I feed my kids a lot of these kinds of like squeeze pack food things. They absolutely love them. When I first had my son, I did make a lot of my own baby food and purees, but it's just so much harder as a mom of 2 to be making baby food all the time and thawing it and having it ready and on the go. I find for myself, time is my enemy a lot. I never seem to have enough time. I'm sure everybody says this all the time, but my focus is on giving my undivided attention to my children and trying to do this YouTube video creation thing on the side, which does not give me enough time to do things perfectly. So I allow a lot of grace and forgiveness to myself for doing my best. And I think that's the most important thing I want to put out there with this video, is that you do not have to be zero waste. Just being conscious of your waste and maybe talking to your kids about it and trying to teach them what waste is like on this planet is the best thing that you can do. Being zero waste is, I don't want to say unachievable, but it's like pretty close. It's a very hard achievement. And so I think if we just looked at it all together as more of reducing our waste is what's most important, then the benefit would be so much higher. What do you know about taking care of the earth or garbage and things? Do you know the difference between garbage and recycling?
Yeah.
What's the difference between garbage and recycling?
Pick it up.
Yeah, pick it up, right? What do we do if we see garbage in the playground?
You pick it up and put it in the toilet.
Yeah, because we don't want garbage in our playground, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if there's garbage in the playground?
The ants will come.
The ants will come, yeah. And because they are always looking for food, right?
Yeah.
And if we leave garbage on the floor in our house, what happens?
That's come from that too.
Yep, the ants will come for that too, right? We got to take care of all the garbage so that our house stays clean, right? And we got to take care of the garbage outside of the playground so the playground stays clean. Because we want the earth to be clean so that when you grow up, there's a beautiful, clean earth for you to live in, right? One of my biggest goals this year is to start making all of the kids' snacks from scratch at home, not only to save on waste, but money, and make them healthier, because the stuff in the store sometimes is just awful. Floyd's favorite granola bar that he has at least one a day are Nutri-Grain bars, and they are not that. Their list of ingredients is the whole entire side of the box. There's a million things that are in there, and it's just like glucose, fructose. It's really not good. So I really want to learn to make Nutri-Grain bars. That's not where I'm going to start though, because I'm a bit intimidated by that. I am going to make some granola bars today though, so I'm just going to whip up something kind of more simple. I made some granola bars the other day and it was much easier than I even anticipated. I found a recipe for some granola bars that you bake with all the ingredients that I have. Ideally, I would also have some dates, but I don't have dates right now. So I need peanut butter, maple syrup, bananas, oats, and chocolate chips. As I open our cupboard here, I'm reminded of how we used to be better at being zero waste because we used to shop at Bulk Barn a lot. Now I feel like I have to do the math to figure out the exact dollar to make sure that it's worth it or cheaper to shop that way. Since we're a family of 4, we just can't afford to spend more money on groceries if that's the way to do it. So I have to do the math on that one, which is my intention to do soon. Okay. Yesterday, I went to put my granola bars into the oven and realized the oven is broken. It is not working. It took a long time to figure out that we couldn't fix the oven in that moment. Chad is still trying to figure out the oven right now, but I took them out and put them in the air fryer and they ended up turning out okay. They weren't so bad, but it's not a true test to whether or not that was the best way to make those type of granola bars, but they are really delicious, I will say. I ate a few of them last night. It's a darn shame because this oven, we only spent $50 on secondhand. Everything in this tiny house when we built it, we tried to use secondhand materials to be low waste. And the part that we need to fix it is discontinued, which means that we need to get another oven. But we paid $50 for this thing, and for something similar that I just looked on the Facebook Marketplace right now, they're a couple $100. We wouldn't buy something brand new, I don't think. There's this one that I've been looking at, but it's like $1,100 for an oven, brand new. It's propane. I just can't justify that. I just don't know what we're gonna do. And the big problem is that we still don't have hot water. We have not had hot water in over a year. So that was gonna be the next thing that we were going to work on. I'm making a whole video about that. I'll explain that later. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a top priority right now to replace the oven because we do have a really big air fryer. So I can air fry a lot of things, and then the stove still works on top. Just the oven's not working. But that's what I use for baking. Is the oven broken, Franny? Is Daddy trying to fix the oven? It got broken. Yeah. Basically, when it comes to being zero waste or low waste, as I like to call it in our family, we are losing the battle in some ways, but still doing quite good in some other ways, especially when it comes to secondhand things. We always buy secondhand first as much as possible. We also do not use any disposable paper products in our house. It's been about 6 years since my husband and I have bought toilet paper. We don't use toilet paper. I don't use disposable menstrual feminine products. We don't use paper towel. We don't use Kleenex. We use cloth in our house. I brought all of my cloth to show you how I use different cloth for different things. This is our toilet paper. It's just a little fleece square. That's what we use for zabum. This is what I use for washing dishes. This is a rag, so this is what I would use for cleaning. This is what I use for washing my face, a face cloth. And then this is what I use for Kleenex. It's very thin. It's a thin linen, I don't know, it's the closest thing to Kleenex that I found them at a market one day, and I really like them for Kleenex because they're nice and thin. They're not really bulky. Like this is like really thick. These are nice and thin. I do buy disposable diapers, but I try to just use them when we are out and about, when we leave the house for like hiking, grocery store, whatever it is, because it's just really hard to carry around soiled wet cloth diapers. I need like a wet bag on the go, plus all the stuff I'm already carrying. I've got a lot going on with 2 kids. It's just something I've decided to let go of a little bit when we're out of the house. When we're at home, we do use cloth. When it comes to being low waste, honestly, part of the reason why we continue to do it is because it's better for the environment, but also our pocketbooks. It costs, I think the average family spends like $500 a year on toilet paper alone. We haven't used toilet paper in 6 years. That's like $3,000 that we've just saved on wiping our tush. I have some cloth wipe that I need to make today, which is another reason why I thought I would do that with you guys. I like to use a fleece blanket. This is what I use to make my cloth wipe. I'm particular about it. I have not found one that I really like until I was at my parents' house, and thank you, Toyota, for gifting this blanket for free to my stepdad. The reason I like to use fleece, I like to make sure that it's thick, that you cannot see through it. Some of those like free fleecy blankets, you know what I'm talking about, are so thin. You don't want to use that. This one is nice and thick. You cannot see through it. It's soft, and I cut it into squares, and I don't have to sew the edges because they don't fray in the washing machine. If you are new to using cloth instead of any disposable products, I will put some links to my favorite brands that I use below. They're not affiliated or anything like that, not sponsored. These are just my personal favorites over the years that I have come to love, because they are not all equal. It's sometimes hard when you're starting to switch to going zero waste and you're trying to use reusable products more. Some products are not equal to the disposable one, and it's hard to get behind it. I will say, this is kind of a funny story, but the one thing I cannot get behind, and I have tried all of the versions out there that they make, is Q-tips. There is not a reusable Q-tip that does what a disposable Q-tip does, and I need Q-tips. I usually just use them for cleaning out my ears, which I know you're not supposed to do. When I get out of the shower, I need to dry my ears. It's a weird thing that I have. I don't even use them for really much else, but they need to suck up all the water in my ears. Reusable Q-tips just don't do that. So some products are not created equal, and that can be challenging. I hope that in making this video, if you are a family or a couple like us who started off with zero waste intentions, and then once having kids you found it a lot harder, I just want you to know it's okay. It's all about progress over perfection, right? We're just trying to do our best to help the next generation be less wasteful. When it comes to holidays and birthdays, I do not tell other people who enjoy gift giving, because gift giving is a love language. So I don't tell people what they can or cannot give to my kids or how to wrap it. Most people who already know me know how I feel about certain things. I always like to remind people that their presents are better than presents. And that concludes today's episode, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I hope that you subscribe and follow along on our journey of realness around here. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. We'll have a great rest of our day. And I'll see you in the next video.